Hello and welcome back to our meeting, our business meeting. I'm here with my best gal, my work bestie, my coworker, Jen Glantz. Jen, how's it hanging?
I'm finally in an office today. I feel like I take these meetings from my bed, and today we are in an office. So I feel like we're in a lot better place than we were yesterday. Yesterday was
We were rough. I was having a little mentee breakdown yesterday, just too much to do. You know what I did? I just decided not to do anything on my to-do list, and I feel a lot better.
okay. So what did you do?
Well, I was really stressing myself out because I really wanted to do a post on social that was like combining my surprise party with going to Costa Rica, with going to New York. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to like do it this week. And I was telling my sister this, and in the midst of her, hanging up on me, she was like, "Why don't you just do it on your actual birthday? Then you have more time." And I was like, "Okay, that's a better idea." And she was like, "Just like, why are you stressing yourself out? Why does it have to be this week?" She was like, "Just do it on your birthday." And I was like, "That's so smart." So then I just the can, and I feel
because you know what? I feel like it's less pressure because like on your birthday, what are you going to post? Like it's my birthday, but now you can be like, I had the best month leading up to my birthday. I did this, and this.
And then this is a little secret. If you want people to congratulate you on your birthday, you have to put the post up early in the day and be like, "Today I turned 40, blah, blah, blah." And then everyone will be like, "Happy 40th." Like, I feel like it's like a little public service announcement.
Is there anybody you're hoping reaches out to you for your birthday?
Of course. Would I say it?
What types of people? You don't have to name names because we have a lot of viewers.
Let's just say people from my past. No, I'm just kidding. Am I kidding? I don't know. I always like to hear sometimes like random girls from sorority that I just like feel. You know what I love to hear? People that I feel very fondly about, but I don't like talk to that often.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. On the flip side, do you ever go on Facebook and wish other people a happy birthday?
Sometimes I go on Facebook and they remind me that it's their birthday, and then I like do something not on Facebook. I feel like Facebook is kind of like chuggy to be like wishing people happy birthday on it. I don't know.
I like don't look forward to a certain person wishing me happy birthday. I look forward to the masses. So like I want like when I was in like high school, it was a big thing that you got people balloons on their birthday and you counted like how many balloons you got. And now it's like I need like 40 to 100 comments on my birthday Facebook or else I'm like, you are dissolving. But then on the flip side, I never write happy birthday to anyone on Facebook. And if you're worth me writing you happy birthday, yeah, I would do it through text, You know
what I've been like employing this past year? Like people that I feel very fondly about, but I don't necessarily have like I have their number, but I probably like I might not be like invited to their birthday party. I send them like a little gift card, like through the Starbucks app, just like for $5. And I'm like, here's a little birthday card for you. Here's a little birthday treat for you. I feel like it's like one step more than a text, but like, it's not like completely over the top. And it's just like a fun little, oh, I'm just thinking of you. You can just add it to your app.
What level type of person is this? Like, give me an example of the type of
People
person
that I would definitely invite to my birthday party, but they have like more friends. Like,
are they like you talk to often?
I'm sure you have people.
I'm trying to think of like who I would do this to that it wouldn't be like weird.
Like is it that who would be a perfect person for you to do it to? You know how sometimes we say like happy day to those who celebrate, like people that you see over and over again that you it's exciting to see them, but you're never going to like go to their house.
But is it like leading them on? Because I feel like if you send them a Starbucks gift card, the next thing is like, well, let's get coffee together. And I just don't want to get coffee with anybody right now. Like I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to get coffee with you.
I just want to say, I've sent that. Do you say I don't want to get coffee with you, or I do want to get coffee with you? Okay, I understand. No, I totally feel it. Luckily, I've tricked you into having coffee with them.
Well, I want to get coffee with you every day of my life, but if it's not you and maybe 3 other people, to me, to put on clothes, to take the subway, to get the coffee, let's just have a phone call. I'd rather have a phone call.
I feel like that's a great solution. Honestly, if you send someone a $5 thing and then they're like, let's get coffee together, be like, girl, I'm crazy right now, but we should do a catch up. When do you walk to work? And then just call them when they're walking to work.
Love. I'm going to start doing this. I'm just like thinking mentally who's on my $5 list. Also, is $5 offensive?
Not if you live in Florida, but like. Maybe in New York it's 10. Inflation.
I know, because in Florida it's like you can get like you can't.
I get to
you're
the
making-
dollar. People be like, "Thanks so much."
No, but in New York, if you give $5, like I still have to pay out of pocket for the coffee because it's gonna be like $8.99. You
What was I
know.
thinking about last night? Remember that time that I was thinking about how much money you gave us for our wedding?
Oh my
Remember
God!
that
What did I
time
give
we
you, like
had
$75? Oh my God, this is
No,
gonna haunt me
remember
till
we
the day
had
I
this big debate
die.
about it, and in my head, you had given us a funky number.
Like 18, because
I
it's
think
like
it was.
Jewish.
I think in my head, you gave us 128, and I thought that was related to.
What was it? Tell everyone what it actually was.
I think it was what I think it was very appropriate. I think it was like 125, which you came to our wedding by yourself. This is 10 years ago. We were all in our 20s. I feel like 125 was very generous, like perfect, honestly.
What do you think other people in my position gave you? I just need to know.
Well, first of all, I just want to say if you're invited to my wedding, I feel like sometimes you invite people to the wedding because you're like, I hope they give you money. But if you're
like, I didn't.
if you're like my friend coming to my wedding, I don't care how much money you give or don't give. But I would say everyone did like 50 to 150.
Wow, so you think people gave you 50? Like people who, because I only know you for 2 years. I know you from 2 years. I was single and probably 27, 6, 7, 8.
42. Anyways, at the reason it was so funny is because in my head you had given us 128, and I interpreted that as like, oh, this is like
a Jewish thing,
special Jewish thing. So then I had gone to multiple other weddings and given them. I'm not talking one wedding. I'm talking. I can think of at least 2. There might have been 3 that the bride and groom or the groom were Jewish, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'll give them 128, thinking it's like a Jewish custom.
No, but also it's not even 128. It's multiples of 18. So it's
which
like
128 is not.
Right, exactly. Like, so they're probably like, what? Well, she couldn't afford the $2 extra to round it to 130.
I just look insane. I feel really. So, anyways, I was having a little secondhand embarrassment last night, thinking about the multiple weddings I went to and gave this completely weird amount. Why didn't I just double check it online? And also, you didn't even give 128. You gave 125. Just in my head, I got confused.
I should have given 150. Like till the day I die, I'm gonna be like trying to make this up to you with presents for every occasion because I'm gonna be like,
as if you're not the most generous person in the world. But also, I feel like that's another thing is like since I've had kids over the last decade. Like the gifts that people gave me for my first kid, we were all just younger and had, for the most part, lower incomes. A lot of people were single. I could just tell like the gifts have gotten, I'm so grateful for anytime someone thinks of me and my family. But like I've just noticed that people just, because they have more disposable income for the most part as you get older.
Right. But also like the fact that I gave you 125, it probably cost you double that to have me at your wedding. And that's what makes me so sad is like you probably lost money on me.
You don't throw a wedding to you, Jen, you're the bridesmaid. I'm trying to explain this to you. You don't throw a wedding to make your cost back. You throw a wedding because when I think in my head of my wedding, I think of it was one of the most wonderful days of my life. Every person in that room, I wanted there so badly. It's never about breaking even or even making money. It's about having, like, I think even now when I have difficulties in my marriage, I think about how many people were there when like I made a vow before God. Wow, we're really talking about religion 2 days in a row.
I have one more thing to tell you about this is that we got married. Obviously, we eloped. We didn't have a wedding, but some people gave us money. And there was somebody who came to my wedding, one of my very close friends, and she gave me money and I never cashed the check because I didn't want to cash her money.
Wow, that really threw off her checkbook.
I know Adam's like, you're such an idiot. At least tell her. I'm like, I'm not even going to tell her. Like, I'm just never going to cash the check. I just felt bad taking her money because she was a single girl and doesn't make a lot of money. And I didn't have a wedding. I didn't feel like I deserved monetary gifts. It's not like we didn't need the money. You know, it wasn't like we were like.
I know, but on the flip side, I feel like if someone has like, okay, I understand why you did it. But also, you know what you could do? You could cash the check and then take her out to a meal with it and be like, you were so generous for my wedding. Like, I feel like it's a nice thing to make. If someone has put money down, I feel like that to them, it's so nice when I love it when someone says you're so generous. Like that's such a nice compliment. And you're giving her the opportunity to feel generous.
I'm just so bad at this. I don't like gifts. I don't like to be paid for. Like
should I tell the Uber story from New York? Okay. So Jen and I are hanging out in New York. obviously my phone dies. We're in Brooklyn.
Oh
I'm there
God.
with my freaking child that I'm supposed to be like being a can-do mom with. So I got to get my kids' ass back to New York. Is my phone dead? Obviously. So I'm like, Jen, thank God Jen was there. I'm like, we're in like a group and I'm like subtly whispering to Jen, I'm like, my phone's dead. Can you call us an Uber? She calls us a Lyft because she's like so up on the scene. So the Lyft comes, get in it. We're in the cab. My son falls asleep. My hair is in my hair. I'm like, this is amazing. We get back. I'm like, okay, this is obviously an expensive Uber ride. So look, I like estimate and I send the money to Jen. I'm like, thank you so much for calling this Uber. Like I literally don't know what I would have done. This girl sends the money back.
The best part of the story isn't that. It's that you put the wrong address in.
Oh yeah, I did. No, I was staying at the Holiday Inn Express, but I put in the Holiday Inn feeling like I was bawling, I guess. I completely forgot about that.
That's the best part of the story because you couldn't change it because you didn't have a phone and it was on my phone.
The guy tried to drop us off and I was kind of a little freaked out. I'm like, because it wasn't like super late, but it was like probably like 10,
yeah,
30 maybe. And I was waking up my 9-year-old. I'm like, we got to get out of the car. And he's like, where are we? I'm like, I don't know, buddy. So I was like trying to like vibe with the Lyft guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if I put the right address in. He was like, wow, okay. Like,
so how'd you get home?
We got on the little sidewalk and then I briefly considered going into the Holiday Inn and be like, I think I'm supposed to be at the Express. But then I said, Molly, think. And then it wasn't that far. It was only like 4 blocks away. And we like, do. I think we went to Five Guys on the way. Do, and went back home.
But like, if you were anywhere else but New York, what would you do? You know, it's like, I guess you could have gone to
here's a little hint. If something's ever going bad, you never want to leave someone that is like liable for you. So if it was the middle of nowhere, I would not have gotten out of the Uber car. I would have been like, I need to stay in the car till I figure it out. Or if like you ever feel like you're going to faint in New York, you go inside a restaurant because then someone's like liable for you.
I know this.
You always want to think like, who could have liability here? And then like, if something's going down and then you like stay with them.
That's genius. I'm going to start like touching people and being like, you stay with me.
Be like, do you have an LLC before you like... Okay, sorry. We're doing.
I thought you were going to say LLM, which was like the funniest thing you said yesterday when you were like, sometimes I call it an LLM. I'm like, okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Like someone that definitely called the internet like, what would be a funny thing?
The World Wide Web.
No, it's like I'm gonna look it up I'm gonna start saying that unironically. I looked up in the World Wide Web. Okay, actually, this flows so amazingly into my first story.
I'm ready.
Young adults, headline, young adults now let AI do their talking. So I thought this was really interesting. It's a half-page article in the personal journal section of the Wall Street Journal. And it's all about how like Gen Z, maybe the millennials, how they're really relying on LLMs if they have like a tricky social situation. Mm-hmm. So whether that's like texts with a crush or they don't know how to talk to a professor or a teacher, and they're running the situation through ChatGPT or whatever they're using and asking for help. The reason I thought this was the craziest article to put in the paper is I thought we were all doing this.
Oh.
Are you not running like social situations through ChatGPT and asking for advice?
Girl, I'm a power user. I'm running everything in ChatGPT. I'm like...
Don't you think it's not? I don't think it's just young people. I feel like it's all of us. Like sometimes I'm running it through to be like, how can I respond to this email or even
1,000%.
Sometimes like a tricky text. So I just thought this was really interesting that they think that this is new or different. I think it was what we're all using it for.
You know, like the most difficult thing I've used it for recently is I have a friend that's not doing well and is very sick. And I wanted to write her a card and I had the words, but you have to be a little bit sensitive in these situations. And I wanted to also be funny. And I wrote the card myself the first time and it sounded so generic and tight. And like, I felt like I just felt like it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. I threw the card away, but I uploaded what I wrote into ChatGPT and I asked for help. And again, that's a situation where it really came through and it helped me figure out not only how to write the card, but also when I saw her in person, it helped me figure out what to say and what not to say. And that was something that without ChatGPT, like what would I have done? Taken out a book from the library? Like I wouldn't have had time on my way to see her to do all of this. So like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Where do you think it gets wrong? Where's the line where you're like, it shouldn't be used for this in a social situation?
I feel like you shouldn't use it if it's I feel like it's okay to use it to process your feelings, to get like a vibe of what you want to say. But to me, it's such a turnoff when like friends share something that's so clearly ChatGPT. I think like one of the things here they say is like it can be a feelings processor, which is kind of what you just described. Like it helped you think a new way about the situation and like what you wanted to say, and then you were able to put your own spin on it. I hate it when I get like a message from a friend that I'm like, okay, like you don't talk like this. Like, why are you talking like this?
Yeah, how do you know?
It's just like formatted. Like, okay, you're using a period in a text message. Like, okay, throw in a spelling mistake. So I feel like you did something. And so I also, if I was online dating right now, it would be, I feel like a lot of in the early stages of dating is like texting and like seeing how someone does on text. I would be so turned off if someone I was interested in was using ChatGPT and it was obvious, like very early in the relationship.
Don't you think that's how talking on dating apps must be right now? Like,
I think it's
hey, how are you? And then you put it into ChatGPT and it gives you some like cliche, gross thing.
Funny you should ask.
Yeah, like this is why, but maybe it's a good thing because maybe it's now letting people not be on these apps as long. Like I would either just judge you from your picture and your profile and say, hey, let's meet, rather than like, let's talk over text. Because I don't think it was bad enough when we were dating to get a vibe through text. It must be hell to do now.
I think it's really hard to online date now. I really don't envy people that are working to find their person online.
Well, this leads me into my next story, which is singles are using spreadsheets to decide who gets a second date. So
that was such a good transition.
I know, we didn't even plan this. And I read this story. I'm like, oh, Molly's definitely going to have this story because it's so interesting because what people are doing, like Gen Z, they're creating spreadsheets where they insert all of this data to decide if they want to have a second date. So some people go on these first dates and they're like, we really hit it off. He seemed great. Then they put this data into the spreadsheet and they're like, oh, it's a giant red flag. I'm not going out again. You might be asking what's on the spreadsheet. Well, there's one woman who sells her dating spreadsheets for $9.99 and she sold 10,000 copies of this spreadsheet. And I guess it has all of these different equations that you input how it went and it tells you like the likelihood that this is going to work out for you. There's also a tab on the spreadsheet called friend feedback where you can send it to your friends and they can anonymously give feedback on the person or on what you told them about the person. And this is what's influencing people on whether or not they should go on a date. What are your thoughts?
First of all, who is this entrepreneur that is selling this dating spreadsheet? Like, that's incredible. See, when people are like, oh, there's nothing you can do online anymore to make money, it's like, please, people are doing it all. She sold 10,000 copies at $10 each.
I've been up all night thinking about. I've been up all night thinking, what could I sell for $9.99? Because 10,000 copies, one viral video, one viral post.
Right,
it's a spreadsheet.
It's like the definition of passive income, and then also is so smart. She can now like upsell them, be like, oh, here's after your 10th date, use this spreadsheet because then like the numbers change, or like I feel like
should you move in with him? Should you marry him?
Should you have kids? Like this girl can spreadsheet the entire life. And then she can write a book called By the Box, My Life in Spreadsheets.
But would you have used this when you were dating?
No, I don't know if I would have used it so strictly, but I'm sure you have like a little scorecard in your head. And you know what it reminds me of? In Friends, when he makes the list of like why he doesn't like Ross or Rachel, or why he doesn't like when he's deciding between Rachel and Julie, and like then Rachel finds the list and one of the items was like about occupation and Rachel was like just a waitress and was like so hurt, and ultimately Ross and Rachel were right for each other arguably, and then it's like there's so much on a spreadsheet that Also, like, I feel like a lot of things on the spreadsheet are things that change. Like your occupation can change, your salary can change, even where you live can change. And the things you could never put on a spreadsheet, values, are they, close with their family? Do they want the same life you? It's just like so much harder to quantify.
1,000%. Also think about on a first date how off the first impression is. Like think about going on a first date with your husband, or I think about going with mine. Like there's things you liked about them, but then there's things you got wrong about them that the
So
spreadsheet would have said, okay, don't see them ever again.
also, like when people solicit feedback from their friends, did you solicit a lot of feedback from other people when you were dating?
Yeah, but I never listened to it. Though maybe I should have, because there was a couple guys where my friends were like, they didn't say anything harshly, but you could tell they were like, red flag, red flag, red flag. But I was like, no. And they were right, of course. But did you?
Well, it just reminded me of something funny one of my friends said once because I was watching the Blackfish trailer yesterday, about SeaWorld. I was just
Yeah.
like,
Wow,
why?
you really spent the day doing a lot of things other than what you really had to do.
Anyways, I was just like watching it, and it reminded me of this such a funny joke that my friend said in college. I was dating this guy that had a mohawk,
Wow.
and my friend said, when killer whales are in captivity, their fin goes to the side because they're like penned up. She was like, "Is his mohawk gonna go to the side because he's in captivity now?" I just like thought that was the funniest joke ever, and I
How
was
long
thinking,
did it last?
oh, a couple months. It was really sad when he broke up with me. That's like one of the saddest I've ever been. Truly, I remember I threw up from the sadness.
Wait, that's wild. Where
I
is he
was
now?
happy, not with
Yeah.
me.
You were, yeah, you know what? Does he still have a mohawk?
Such a great question.
Could you imagine you marrying a guy with a mohawk?
Yeah, I could,
Oh,
but I'm on such a different path.
different journey. That's such a different journey. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Different
Yeah.
journey. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
journey, which like question mark, question mark. Okay, Jen, good story. Let's think of a spreadsheet that we can sell.
Oh my God. I mean, I think we should though sell the one like, should I divorce him? Should I marry him?
Wait, should I divorce him is completely diabolical. You should think of any Reddit thread that there's a lot of debate, pro and con.
Am I the asshole?
Jen, that's actually not a bad idea. Okay, here's my last article for the day, and I wanted to talk to a real New Yorker, Jennifer Glantz, about it. So the article is about rent stable apartments in New York City, which is just like such a hot topic. So at the very high level, New York City is a unique city in that it has what was called, I believe it was it started in like the 1970s or something. And it's rent control, where and correct me if this is wrong, but if like an apartment stays in the family for a while, then the rent can only be raised a very nominal amount. So then you have people that are living in now, worth $10,000 a month to rent, but they're paying $500 because the apartment has stayed in their family. To go back to the Friends analogy, you might remember that Monica lives in this beautiful apartment in the village, and she explains it was because it was her grandmother's. And the landlord thinks the grandmother is still alive, but really Monica lives there because it's passed down, so it's much below market. So in theory, I think in theory, this kind of makes sense. Like if your family is living in a place for a long time, maybe you shouldn't be so subject to the whims of the market. It's hard to plan for the future. But in actuality, and you would think, oh, this is kind of like equalizing the playing field. Like maybe if you can't afford a $10,000 a month apartment, you're in an apartment that's been in your family for a while and you're paying less for it. However, caption today, many rent stabilized apartments are going to New York's wealthiest tenants. Probably arguably the people that could pay the 10, the 20, the 30K a month. And this reminded me of a story that I read many years ago that I've never been able to shake, which was a husband and wife were married, and the wife wanted access to the rent controlled apartment that was from her parents, but the landlord wanted to kick her out. And she had to stay in the apartment a certain number of nights per year. I think it was like 220 nights per year or something. And so what's it called? The person at the front desk, what was that person called?
Like a doorman?
Yeah, like the doorman or something. Kept track of how many nights a year she stayed there because they were trying to build the case that she actually had a second residence with her husband, and that they should be allowed to raise the rent on this other place.
So what happened to her?
The article ends with they were having a baby, and and also the husband wasn't allowed to live in the rent stabilized apartment. I'm not totally sure why. Maybe I don't know why. And so she was trying to figure out where to raise the baby because she still had to live in this apartment for 220 nights a year, and he lived in like another apartment.
Wow. I mean,
So
honestly,
now, as a New Yorker, what's your take on this?
I live in a rent stabilized building that has a caveat, which is it's rent stabilized for like 15 years, and that 15th year is next year. So next year, all of our rent, which is they kept it like more affordable for the neighborhood. Like an average 2-bedroom in my neighborhood is probably like $9,000 or $10,000. But with the rent stabilization, ours is much lower. However, next year it's completely up and they could raise it to market value, which means pretty much a lot of people in the building can no longer afford, because it's going to be anywhere between like $3,000 to $5,000 more than they're paying right now. It's really scary because it's happening to a lot of buildings in my neighborhood, and it's going to be such a turnover of people, because the people who can afford a 2-bedroom at, let's say, $4,000 probably maybe can't afford it at $10,000. So where do they go? And who moves in next? And that's the question that we're going to see next year. But rent controlled, I have a friend who's in a rent controlled building, and their rent is less than $1,000 for their apartment. Adam and I were just talking about this, and it's never going to go up. Like, she can live there the rest of her life if she wants, and it won't go up. Now, the apartment is maybe not something that we would want to live in, but for her, she's saving so much money because she splits it with her partner. So between the two of them, they're paying less than $500 a month. And both of them have salary jobs.
This is what I would do if I was given that incredible gift. I would instantly start freaking out that my whole life was planned out, break the lease, and like go elsewhere. I feel like I would just feel so locked in. Like, to know you're getting such a great deal and everyone would be like, you're such an idiot if you leave, would absolutely, I would be the mohawk to the side being like, I'm in captivity, I must be free. Yeah. Like, I just feel like that's really hard. That is a different type of pressure when you feel like you can't leave where you're at, because every other place you're at is so much more money.
For sure. I think I would feel so forced to stay there that I would stay there. And what would be the quality of your life? I mean, it's hard. Like, rent is so expensive in New York City. Like, think about, I think the average 1-bedroom right now is like $4,000 or $5,000. Like, when we were living here a decade ago, it was like $2,000, it's like, so I don't think that I could have moved from college and came here and paid $5,000 a month. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that. So what does that mean for a lot of people who are trying to make it in New York? It's just, the whole thing is so crazy to me, because I don't know if you remember, but in 2020, the whole theme was New York City is dead. My friend James Altucher wrote that article for the New York Times. He was like, New York City is dead.
Friend. Stop.
And everyone was like moving out of New York City, and he was like, it is dead. It's never going to go up again. The rents were like rock bottom. They were giving away. Our apartment building was probably like 15% occupied. Like, everyone left in COVID. The rents dropped. But then starting in 2021, 2022, everything just went back up and like doubled and tripled what it was. So I think there's a lesson there that's like, New York City might never be dead. And if this ever happens again and you want to live in New York City, like if a pandemic ever happens, don't worry, get in fast.
People are always saying New York City is dead, and it never is.
Never.
Remember when Jerry Seinfeld said, he wrote a piece that was like, New York City will never die. And everyone's like, you're saying that because you're in the Hamptons, which, like, I kind of agree. I feel like that's an odd take if you're not actually in the city during COVID to say that. But also, like, I kind of agree. I don't think New York City would ever die.
I agree. And I think James Altucher is a very smart person, but I think that was a very not the right take, because it's just not true. It's never going to die here.
It's a great take if you want to go viral. It's a great take if you want to go viral.
I agree.
People might not know watching this that James Altucher actually is your friend. And if anyone's looking for a deep cut, there was like a series, maybe 2018, 2019?
2021.
It was after COVID. 2021, where Jen was interviewed on, what's the podcast called?
There was a series on his podcast called Make You a Millionaire, and his goal was to make me a millionaire. And while that didn't happen he helped me figure out things to try that I never tried. Like, for example, I'll show you. He helped me figure out how to make my newlywed card game, which was a card game I always wanted to sell, and I still have a tremendous amount of them. But it was just a cool product that I always wanted to do. So that was that was fun.
And now you have CPG experience, which you can take to do whatever. Also, my first apartment was not my first, but the apartment I lived in. Oh, here's a brief history. When I lived with 5 other people, I paid $950. Then I got into a much nicer apartment where I paid like $1,700, but I was never there. I was always at my boyfriend's. Then moved to Austin. I don't remember what I paid in Austin. Came back to New York, lived in Union Square for $1,400, and then finally ended up in a studio where I paid $1,850. But unfortunately, one time I was late on the rent. It only like a day or two, really wasn't that long. And they sent someone to my door and I had to sign a thing and saying I was late on the rent. And it followed me. It stays on your credit report for 7 years. And so then 7 years, literally 7, it was like 6.5 years later, I was trying to go to Techstars in Philly and I needed to rent an apartment for me and my 2 kids. And I got denied because I had that I was late on the rent, literally 6.5 years earlier.
It is crazy because that's like the kinds of things they check when you're renting a new apartment. That's
totally
wild.
You gotta be really careful. You gotta pay your rent on time. Ugh, I've regretted.
Well, speaking of money,
yeah,
here's a money story and a sports story that was so shocking to me. I don't know if you saw this, but LeBron James, he just signed a contract. He's 41 years old, which makes him, I think, the oldest player in the NBA. And he just signed a contract to play with the Philadelphia 76ers for $8 million.
I was shocked. I thought it would be like 80 million.
I was asking Adam, I'm like, what is going on? He's like, well, he doesn't need the money. He's a billionaire. I'm like, but everyone needs the money. That's like saying that like billionaires do things for free. You know what I mean? Like you're still working a job. It's like you deserve to get a salary that's of value to you. I found that to be such a weird thing.
The deal of the lifetime for Philly.
He's earned $581 million during his career through salaries. He earned $52 million last season with the Lakers, and now he's going to earn under $4 million every single year because it's a 2-year deal for $8 million.
I just want to say, I don't think he's having money problems, and I think he loves the game. And I just want to say, I really respect it. If he's like, hey, I'm getting older, I know what I'm not used to, but I love playing professional ball. First of all, $8 million is still a crap ton of money. Maybe it's not what he used to, but like, I just think that's really, that reminds me, usually when professional baseball player or any professional athletes get a contract, they have to sign in the contract that they won't play like random games. So they don't want them getting hurt. And Shaq, I always thought about the fact that Shaq asked for that to be removed from his contract because he wanted to be able to play. Anytime he saw a pickup game, he wanted to be able to jump in and because he just like loved the game. So he had that removed from his contract. So he doesn't have that restriction. So if he's just walking by when he was like on contract, he was just walking by a park and he just wanted to jump in, he totally could. And I feel like he just like loved the game.
Yeah, I feel like this is just such an unprecedented thing because like even Tom Brady, who's like, he was playing, when he was older and going from team to team, he still got the maximum. He got a big salary too. Jalen Brunson is another example of somebody who was on the Knicks team, and he actually took a lower salary to be on the Knicks so that they could use more of that money to recruit other players. And that was like a very heroic thing. The other instance of this is Michael Jordan. When he returned to basketball, he played for approximately $1 million per season. So I just found that was interesting because there's no other equivalent to this. Like, you're not going to tell a 65-year-old who's going back to corporate America to take an intern salary. Like, you're going to try to get them the best salary that they can get if they need to get a job, So it's like, just because you are older, in any other type of instance, this wouldn't really apply where you're happy taking a lower salary if you need the job for money, I guess. But maybe I'm wrong, because maybe if you are retired, you're like, I'm willing to take a job at Trader Joe's or wherever because I want to get out of the house and just work,
Well, I'm thinking about my own career, like when I was writing Smart, Pretty, and Awkward, I was getting paid not a lot of money, but I was getting paid some money off my blogger ads. And then time went on, I stopped doing Smart, Pretty, Awkward. Things were more quiet. And I just I recently just returned to writing and writing for free on Substack just because I like it. I don't know. I feel like if you're really drawn to, we do the show, we take it really seriously. We're not making any money off of it yet, but I think if you like doing something, you might do it for less money. And also, I just want to say it's such, he will be treated like a star at Philly, getting to go there, think of all the other players on the team getting to play a season with LeBron James. Like, that's freaking huge. Like,
Yeah. To tie it back to New York City, though, the controversy is that he actually wants to live in New York City and not Philadelphia, and people are like losing their mind over that. Which I'm like,
he needs to live in Philly. I think he needs to
yeah.
live in Philly. Philly's a great city. Philly's not even that far from New York. This is like when that guy at Starbucks got the Starbucks CEO job and was like, I'm not going to live in Seattle. It's like, buddy, just get an apartment there. Do what the girl did with the rent stabilized. Just say you live there and
Yeah,
spend
play
a
the
lot of time
game.
in New York. Like, why do people feel like they need to always be sharing what they're doing? It's like, I love Philly. I just rented a great place over on blah, 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 Rittenhouse. Awesome.
Goodbye. Yeah, and then spend every day of your life somewhere else, but no one has to know. You're rich enough that like you could literally rent an apartment in New York City under an LLC that no one will ever know you rented, and you go there all the time.
The LLC. So then when you see the guy on the street and you feel like you're going to faint, go up to LeBron James and be like, hey, I heard you have an LLC.
And then you go on your LLM and you ask, how should I talk to LeBron James? Because I have no social skills from using AI 24/7.
Wow, we nailed the transitions today. Jen, thank you so much for coming to the meeting. I feel like we got a lot done. We got a big day ahead of us. Let's try to get that game face on. And thanks everyone for joining us today.
Love you.